Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. India is now a $4 trillion economy, overtakes Japan to become the fourth largest in the world, poised to surpass Germany and become the third largest in the next 2 to 3 years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauds Indian soldiers for precision strikes to destroy terror bases in Pakistan, just as multi-party delegations carry India's message of zero tolerance against terror to the world. Massive Russian missile drone attack kills 12 in Ukraine, even as both sides complete their largest prisoner swap. EU's Kaja Kallas calls for strongest international pressure on Moscow to end the conflict. And in South America, it's election day in Venezuela amid calls of boycott by the opposition. Smallest country Suriname also votes to decide who helms the predicted oil boom. So India is on a transformative journey. Citing data from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Niti Aayog, India's top government think tank's CEO, BVR Subramaniam said, India has surpassed Japan to become the fourth largest economy of the world. India has achieved this feat due to strong domestic demand, favourable demographic trends and policy reforms. We have a report. The IMF projects India to be the fastest growing major economy in the next 2 years. The IMF also says Indian economy will grow at 6.2% in 2025 and 6.3% in 2026. The April edition of the World Economic Outlook report released by the IMF says that India's nominal GDP for fiscal year 2026 is estimated to cross the projected GDP of Japan. Niti Aayog's CEO BVR Subramaniam on Saturday informed that India surpassed Japan to become the fourth largest economy in the world.
India today is larger than Japan. So it's only the United States, China and Germany which are larger. And if we stick to what is being planned, what is being thought through, it's a matter of another 2.5 to 3 years, we would become the third largest economy.
India's economic boom has come about amid strong growth in key sectors, sustained investment flows and government-backed industrial strategies.
I think it's a great success story that India has become the fourth largest economy in the world. The Prime Minister has also to be congratulated because we have been following his policies and his policies have been very, very strong policies.
According to IMF estimates, if India's current growth rate continues, then by 2028, it can become the third largest economy in the world by surpassing Germany. India's GDP is estimated to reach $5 trillion by 2027 and $5.58 trillion by 2028. There are a number of important transformative triggers that have played a key role in India's economic success story.
How has this growth come about? There are several important transformative triggers. First, of course, is the demographic dividend. Domestic economic reforms, global cues are another factor. Electric vehicles, we are powering green energy. Healthcare insurance has been growing at a very fast clip. Renewable energy, India has very impressive development. Digitalization-induced productivity gains have also significantly provided an important impetus to the development process of the Indian economy.
In the coming years, rising incomes and an expanding middle class will increase demand for consumer goods and services in India. And a rapidly growing economy will create new jobs, especially in technology, manufacturing and services. Globally, India's influence will increase in international forums such as that of G20 and the International Monetary Fund. Foreign direct investment in India will increase further as global companies like Apple are looking at India not just as a market but as an attractive manufacturing destination. Moreover, strong strategic partnerships between India and Japan will promote stability in the Indo-Pacific region. India thus is steadfast to become a developed country by 2047, which is the ultimate collective goal, as envisioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Tanvi Taneja, DD India.
US President Donald Trump had announced that the US plans to impose a 25% tariff on iPhones sold in the country if they are manufactured in India or anywhere else in the world. Now, a new report from the Global Trade Research Initiative, or GTRI, has emerged, stating that even if the US were to implement such a tariff, the cost of manufacturing iPhones in India would still be much lower compared to if the devices are made in the US. The GTRI report highlights that assembly workers in India earn approximately $230 per month, and when compared to US states like California, these costs could go as high as $2,900, marking a 13-fold rise in expenses. While the iPhone assembly in India costs around $30 to Apple, the same process in the United States would cost the tech giant $390. Moreover, Apple also gets additional benefits from the Indian government via the Production-Linked Incentive, or the PLI scheme. If Apple shifts its iPhone assembly to the US, its profit per iPhone would drop from $450 per unit to just $60, or it will be forced to increase retail prices significantly to absorb the added costs. In a powerful global outreach, multiple all-party Indian parliamentary delegations led by leaders like Shashi Tharoor and Supriya Sule are visiting key nations including the United States, Qatar, South Korea and Europe. From 9/11 memorial tributes to diplomatic talks, India is showcasing a united front against terrorism under Operation Sindoor, amplifying its global stance on peace and security. Syed Afzarul Hasan has more in the next report.
In a significant move to showcase India's resolve against terrorism, an all-party parliamentary delegation led by Congress MP Shashi Tharoor paid a visit to a 9/11 memorial in New York. The delegation's visit reaffirmed India's unwavering solidarity with the world in the fight against terrorism.
We are suffering the same wounds all the time. And what we would like very much for the American public and American political opinion to do is to understand what India has gone through and why solidarity, support and resolve are so important to resist this. Just as the US has exercised its right of self-defense, we have been doing the same thing, and we will need to do it in future. We need your understanding, we need your support, and we need your solidarity.
Tharoor also emphasized the role of India's vast diaspora in shaping global public opinion and amplifying India's strong stand on the issue.
Pakistan has remained in denial. There has been absolutely no conviction, no serious criminal prosecution, no attempt to dismantle the terror infrastructure in that country, and the persistence of safe havens. So from our point of view, this is it. You do this, you're going to get this back. And we have demonstrated with this operation that we can do it with a degree of precision and with a degree of restraint that the world, we hope, will understand.
The all-party parliamentary delegation continued its mission with another group led by Nationalist Congress Party MP Supriya Sule reached in Doha, Qatar. The multi-party delegation met with Dr. Hamda Al-Sulaiti, Deputy Speaker of the Qatar Shura Council, and the other Qatari MPs. Indian delegation conveyed the message of national outrage over April 22nd Pahalgam terror attack and highlight that the visit reflects India's united stance on cross-border terrorism. Qatar emphasized its own zero-tolerance policy against terrorism and that terrorism must be condemned globally. Meanwhile, the Indian delegation led by JDU MP Sanjay Jha has completed its visit to Japan and is now in Seoul, South Korea, as part of the second phase of the outreach program. Sanjay Jha emphasized the importance of international cooperation to combat terrorism.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर है. ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में आपको जितना प्रिसीजन से जाकर के टेररिस्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को हिट किया गया, not one civilian in Pakistani side was killed. The resistance front, जिसने क्लेम किया कि हमने ही पहलगांव में जाकर के मारा है, तो वहां जाकर के हिट करके इसको डिमोलिश किया. इंडिया का इतना अपना पावर है जो
Another all-party delegation led by Shiv Sena MP Shrikant Shinde has reached Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, after completing its visit to the UAE. They paid floral tributes at the bust of Mahatma Gandhi ji in the embassy, honoring and remembering the principles of non-violence, peace and tolerance of father of the nation, Mahatma. An all-party delegation led by BJP MP Bejant Panda met with Deputy Prime Minister Sheikh Khalid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa in Bahrain, where they discussed matters of mutual interest, including India's firm commitment to combating terrorism in all its forms.
Now, going forward, we have taken certain steps. We have put in abeyance the Indus Waters Treaty. We have also stopped visas. We have stopped trade, ships coming in. Because we have a clear policy that the old thing, we tried that for many decades. That we will keep playing cricket, we will keep doing cultural events, and you will keep attacking us. That has changed. Talks and terrorism cannot go at the same time.
The seventh group, led by BJP MP Ravi Shankar Prasad, is currently on a 6-country visit with stops in the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Denmark and the EU. They are carrying India's strong message against terrorism and sharing India's approach to tackling terror. Finally, DMK MP Kanimori will be leading a delegation to Slovenia following a successful visit to Russia to discuss the issue of Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. With each delegation traveling across continents, India is sending a strong message that it is committed to fighting terrorism on the global stage. Operation Sindoor remains a pivotal part of this strategy, signaling India's commitment to international peace and security. India's unified stand against terrorism continues to gain traction worldwide as these diplomatic missions bring nations together in the fight for peace and security. Syed Mohammad Afzalul Hassan's report for DD India.
So after a successful visit of the all-party delegation led by DMK MP Kanimuri Karunanidhi to Russia, the delegation arrived in Slovenia on Sunday. On arrival at Ljubljana, capital of Slovenia, Kanimuri spoke to DD India's Dibendu Mondal about the success of the visit to Moscow and how Pakistan-sponsored terrorism is being exposed to the world. Listen in.
The all-party delegation to Slovenia has arrived and I'm joined by the leader of the delegation and DMK MP, Kanimuri. Welcome to Doordarshan, ma'am, and also to Slovenia. How was your visit in Moscow? What was the talks like in Moscow? And if you could sum it up for our viewers.
It was very positive. And as you know, that Russia has been our allies for a very long time, nearly over 78 years. They have been our very strong allies and our strategic partners. So it was very important for India to reach out to Russia first. And I think that is why the government of India and our Prime Minister has sent this delegation first to Russia to meet the lawmakers, opinion makers over there and explain about what happened in India, about how we've lost 26 lives due to terror attacks and cross-border terrorism.
How do you see, like you have just been your first country, but of course you'll be going to other countries as well. How do you look at, this entire scenario changing across the world as well?
I think the tolerance to terrorism has been coming down. Countries realize that, they cannot, be spectators. Because all of us become, part of, and we are going to be affected. Right. So every country realizes that. So that is why we've come here to reach out to different countries, and there are delegations going out to other countries as well. And we cannot become mute spectators. We have to come together to fight terrorism in the entire, planet. It has to be put stop to.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for speaking to Doordarshan. And of course, as the all-party delegation says, that terrorism is a threat for the global community. With camera person Shailendra Chauhan, this is Dibendu Mondal from Ljubljana in Slovenia for DD India.
As the all-party Indian parliamentary delegation arrives in Slovenia to brief officials and academia of the country about Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, Indian ambassador to Slovenia, Amit Narang, spoke to our correspondent Dibendu Mondal on what is lined up for the delegation in Slovenia and also about the India-Slovenia partnership.
As the all-party delegation arrives here in Slovenia. I'm joined by the Indian ambassador to Slovenia. So welcome to Doordarshan. So what's lined up for the delegation over the next 2 days?
The all-party delegation led by Honorable Member of Parliament Srimati Kanimohi Karunanidhi has just landed in Slovenia. Over the next 2 days in Slovenia, they will have intensive engagements with a wide range of stakeholders, interlocutors from the government, the parliament, the academia, think tanks, as well as media persons. And they will be able to convey India's strong message of national unity in the face of terror and our united stand again on zero tolerance on terrorism.
Right. And also, sir, what has been the response of the Slovenian government in terms of, the dastardly attack that we saw in Pahalgam?
India and Slovenia, they share a very warm and friendly bilateral relationship. Slovenia is a small country in Europe, but has a very good history of cooperation with India. Slovenia is also currently a non-permanent member in the United Nations Security Council, and in that sense plays a very important role at present insofar as global discussions on counter-terrorism are concerned. Slovenia understands India's approach. There is already a deep appreciation in Slovenia for the visit of this delegation of senior members of parliament coming to talk to them in person to explain India's stance on this very important topic.
So how do you see the India-Slovenian relationship growing further from here? And what are the areas of cooperation between the two countries?
As I said, Slovenia is a small country in Europe, but they look at India as a very important economic partner. In fact, there is a lot of appreciation for India's growth and development, particularly in the last decade under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Today, we are the fourth largest economy in the world. So Slovenia also, as it looks at this very troubled state of the world, looks at India as a mature, as a reliable partner for them to expand their cooperation with. We already have a good trade and investment relationship with Slovenia.
Thank you so much for speaking to Doordarshan, sir. And of course, from here on, the Indian-Slovenia relationship will grow for much stronger, of course, and both the countries stand united when it comes to terror. With camera person Shailendra Chauhan, this is the Biendu model from Slovenia for DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Still to come on the show. East Timor could join the ASEAN bloc by October, says Malaysia's foreign minister. Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal accepts charges against 8 officers, including former Dhaka Police Commissioner, for crimes against humanity during the 2024 uprising. And Maldives' foreign minister is on a 3-day visit to India to boost bilateral ties.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. On to the Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Russian forces unleashed a massive overnight barrage on Ukraine, firing a staggering 367 drones and missiles across multiple cities, including the capital. The massive assault comes as both the countries completed a major prisoner exchange, each side releasing 1,000 people over the last 3 days. Well, peace still remains a distant dream.
These are the devastating scenes from Ukraine after Russian forces unleashed one of their most intense attacks yet, firing a staggering 367 drones and missiles across multiple cities, including Kiev. At least 12 people were killed and 60 others injured in the overnight barrage.
Our windows were blown out, here and there. It's not as bad. I think it's a trifle. But the people who died, that's a disaster.
Earlier, Ukraine's military said that it managed to shoot down 45 missiles and 266 drones, blunting some of the assault. Russia, meanwhile, claims it intercepted 110 Ukrainian drones in a separate attack. As the conflict continues to escalate, European Union's top diplomat Kaja Kallas urged the world to act, calling for the strongest international pressure on Russia. Amid all this, Russia and Ukraine have completed a major prisoner exchange, each side releasing 1,000 prisoners over the past 3 days. Sunday marked the final phase, with 303 prisoners exchanged on both sides, most of them prisoners of war, but also 120 civilians.
Today on May 25, other 303 Russian servicemen were returned from the territory controlled by Kiev. Within 3 days, 880 Russian servicemen and 120 civilians were returned. The agreement reached in Istanbul on May 16 regarding the exchange have been fully implemented. We hope that the large-scale prisoners exchange initiated by Russia will help create an auspicious atmosphere for discussing the conditions for a peaceful settlement of the Ukrainian crisis.
The exchange marks a moment of humanity in the midst of devastation, but with the fighting far from over, peace still feels like a distant goal. Bureau Report, DD India.
East Timor is a step closer to fulfilling its long-standing wish to join the Southeast Asian regional bloc ASEAN and could become its 11th member state by October, Malaysia's foreign minister said on Sunday. Mohammed Hassan, on the sidelines ahead of an Association of Southeast Asian Nations ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur, said that Delhi has made meaningful progress in implementing a roadmap for it to join. East Timor is one of the world's poorest countries, and some concerns remain around whether it could participate meaningfully in ASEAN's development agenda. However, the bloc's foreign ministers voiced strong support for Timor-Leste's full membership in ASEAN, particularly in its efforts to fulfill the remaining criteria. On to South America now. Polls opened in Venezuela on Sunday to elect a new parliament and state governors. Some 21 million voters are eligible to cast their ballot for 285 members of the National Assembly and 24 governors. Former presidential candidate Henrique Capriles is also running for the National Assembly and has urged people to vote. This vote is the country's most extensive electoral exercise since the disputed 2024 presidential election, in which President Nicolas Maduro claimed to have won amid allegations of widespread fraud by the opposition. And in the smallest country of the continent, voting began on Sunday in Suriname's parliamentary elections that will determine who will harness giant oil wealth to carry out rags to riches transformation of the smallest country in South America. The tiny nation, the only one in the Americas with Dutch as its official language, is battling high debt, rampant inflation and poverty affecting nearly 1 in 5 of its 600,000 inhabitants. But recent offshore crude discoveries suggest that this may all be about to change. Surinames have begun electing a new parliament of 51 members who within weeks must choose a new president and a vice president for a 5-year term. Back to Asia. In Bangladesh, the International Crimes Tribunal's prosecution on Sunday formally pressed charges in a crime against humanity case lodged over the killing of 6 protesters in Dhaka on August 5th last year, the day Sheikh Hasina fled the country. The prosecution pressed charges against 8, including former Dhaka Metropolitan Police Commissioner, 4 of his subordinate officers and 3 constables. It is the first formal charge filed at the ICT in connection with the July mass uprising cases. The prosecution alleged that Police Commissioner and his senior officers abetted, ordered and facilitated the killing of 6 demonstrators by their subordinates who opened fire and killed 6 protesters during the protest on August 5th. French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Vietnam on Sunday for the first leg of a Southeast Asia tour. The French president is due to meet Vietnam's top leadership on Monday in capital Hanoi and key energy sector players on Tuesday. From Vietnam, Macron will be looking to boost bilateral relations in Indonesia before travelling to Singapore to speak at the annual Shangri-La Dialogue Defence Summit on Friday. On to Europe now. A private train operator servicing parts of southern England, including London, on Sunday became the first to be returned to public ownership under a government plan to renationalise Britain's much maligned railways. All UK rail operators are due to be renationalised within the next 2 years in a key policy launched by Prime Minister Keir Starmer following his Labour Party's return to government last July after being 14 years in opposition. He vowed the renationalisation will put passengers first with better services, simpler ticketing on more comfortable trains. Train passengers in Britain suffer from frequent cancellations, in addition to high ticket prices and regular confusion over which services they can be used on. The privatisation of rail operations took place in the mid-1990s under the Conservative Prime Minister of the time, John Major. But the rail network remained public, run by the Network Rail. 4 of the 14 operators in England are already run by the state, owing to poor performance in recent years. But this was originally meant to be a temporary fix before a return to the private sector. Labour triumphed over the Conservative Party in elections last year with its manifesto, including promises to fix the country's ailing transport services. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Maldives, Dr. Abdullah Khalil, arrived in New Delhi on a 3-day visit to India. This is Dr. Khalil's 3rd visit to India in 2025, following his visits earlier in January and March this year, and is in continuation of the intensified high-level political exchanges between India and Maldives. The foreign minister will lead Maldives at the 2nd India-Maldives high-level core group meeting to oversee progress in the implementation of the India-Maldives vision document on comprehensive and economic and maritime security partnership adopted by the leadership of the two countries in October 2024. Dr. Khalil will also hold bilateral discussions with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in New Delhi. And let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Thousands rallied in Warsaw supporting Rafał Trzaskowski, the pro-EU presidential candidate and current mayor, ahead of Poland's June 1 runoff election. Trzaskowski, backed by the centrist government, narrowly won round 1. He now faces Karol Nawrocki, a nationalist historian supported by the right-wing opposition, in a contest that reflects growing political polarization in Poland. Pope Leo XIV delivered his first public address from the Vatican's papal apartments on Sunday, praying for victims of war worldwide. Elected on May 8th, the new Pope expressed gratitude for the love and support shown by the faithfuls. Thousands gathered in Saint-Maurice-de-la-Mer, a coastal village in southern France, for the annual Roma and Gypsy pilgrimage. The deeply rooted spiritual tradition, which lasts 8 to 10 days, features prayers, processions, and music celebrating cultural identity and faith. You're with us on DD India Newshour, still to come on the show. An expert take on India's impressive strides in economic development as it becomes the 4th largest economy in the world. And portals of Hemkund Sahib, the world's highest Gurudwara at 15,000 feet in Uttarakhand's Chamoli district, reopen on Sunday. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. A quick reminder of the headlines we're tracking at this hour. India is now a $4 trillion economy, overtakes Japan to become the fourth largest in the world, poised to surpass Germany and become the third largest in the next 2 to 3 years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauds Indian soldiers for precision strikes to destroy terror bases in Pakistan, as multi-party delegations carry India's message of zero tolerance against terror to the world. Massive Russian missile drone attack kills 12 in Ukraine, even as both sides complete their largest prisoner swap. EU's Kaja Kallas calls for strongest international pressure on Moscow to end the conflict. And going back to our top story now, India overtaking Japan to become the fourth largest economy in the world. And I'm now joined by senior economic journalist Anil Padmanabhan to discuss India's growth story. Welcome, sir. First of all, India overtaking Japan to become the fourth largest economy in the world is a very major achievement. Your thoughts?
Well, absolutely, Tanvi. I think it's a tremendous achievement for an economy, especially in the circumstances that India has achieved this milestone. Let's not forget that in the last 5 years, beginning with COVID-19 pandemic, the world and India have seen back-to-back economic setbacks in every year. You have the Russia-Ukraine war, you have the US Fed increasing interest rates, you have the conflict in Gulf, and we can just carry on. Despite all this, the fact that the Indian economy continued to grow is remarkable. And we must also keep in mind that it took India 60 years to become a 1 trillion economy in 2007. And in the next 15 years, it has grown it 4 times and more. So it is on a tremendous economic momentum, which is very admirable, and presumably it will be sustained going forward.
Okay. Tell us something more about the factors that have contributed most to India becoming the world's fourth largest economy, and also about the government policies that have played a leading role in this success.
See, Tanvi, if I had to list all the factors contributing to this success, we'll have to do a special show, but I'll try and summarize. See, primarily, government policy in a country like India is very critical. And in this, the government has pursued primarily a very sober and conservative fiscal policy, which created a good macroeconomic environment for the Reserve Bank of India to manage a tight leash on inflation for most of the last 10-15 years. So then, on the other side, you had major advancements on the digital front, particularly with the launch and rollout of Aadhaar, which enabled a fintech revolution, and it enabled direct benefit transfers, which created a complete sea change in social welfare spending in this country. Probably for the first time, this country got value for money as far as social welfare went. It saved the exchequer, this using Aadhaar as the foundation and sewing it up with the bank account, which is Jan Dhan, and the mobile, what they call JAM. This created an economic GPS which allowed the government to target social welfare spending. It saved a staggering 3 lakh crore cumulatively. And then finally, the government worked very hard in making the private sector a legitimate stakeholder in the Indian economy. If you recall, till the dismantling of the license Raj, doing business in India was considered almost a social crime. Look at all our Bollywood movies. Business was always shown in very poor light. But going forward, it is now a legitimate stakeholder, and you can see the entry of private sector in sectors which were traditionally reserved only for the government. Typical example is defense and space. The just concluded face-off with Pakistan showed the success that Indian private sector has demonstrated in creating such a strong architecture for India. So pull all these together, you understand why India has moved forward. So there's been a lot of heavy lifting. We have eradicated abject poverty. I think it's less than 2% now. So which the turn of the millennium, almost 50% of the population was poor. That is 1 in 2 Indians were poor. Today, no longer. So all of this, if you pull together, you begin to understand why this economic story is coming together so good, so fast.
Okay. India is now poised to surpass Germany to become the third largest economy of the world in just a few years. Are there any specific policy steps or steps by the private sector that could speed up this transition?
See, Tanvi, the primary step, it has to be a combo of both the government and private sector. See, the government has to undertake long overdue structural reforms, which has to include the states. And yesterday, the Prime Minister chaired a meeting with the states in the Niti Aayog, in which he has appealed to them to become serious partners in India's future growth trajectory. So presumably they will have taken the message home, and several states have already begun to roll out reforms. But primarily, India has to undertake strong structural reforms to create a better economic environment. Thereby, it will incentivize private sector to invest. So far, they've been reluctant to invest for a host of reasons, but in a good, conducive environment, presumably they will rise to the occasion. So it has to be a combination of both the government and the private sector coming together.
Okay. And are there any major obstacles that India may need to overcome, or economic parameters to especially watch out for in moving to the next level?
Oh, absolutely, Tanvi. I think the biggest challenge India is going to face, unlike, say, China did in the last 2 decades, is the inclement global environment. We can see what's happening around us. After about 70 years of economic prosperity and relative peace, we are now looking at least a decade of turbulence. So the external sector is going to be a constant challenge. Secondly, internally, the politics has to converge. There is often politics for the sake of politics, particularly among the opposition parties. They need to think about India first rather than themselves first. And of course, the structural reforms that I mentioned. And I think all of us are also stakeholders in this economic growth trajectory that India is charting, and we have to become legitimate stakeholders. So to begin with, let's start take small steps, keep our surrounding environments clean, learn to respect public infrastructure. The state of infrastructure in India is no longer what it was even a decade ago. Look at the airports around us and look at the stations, the newly revamped stations all across India. It's not just in the metros. Tier 1, Tier 2 towns are getting new railway stations, which are state of the art. So we as citizens also need to put our little step forward. And if we all come together, I think the progress is assured. There will always be challenges. But I always believe the cup is always half full and never half empty.
Very positive indeed. Okay, do you see India now likely emerging not only as a major investment or manufacturing destination for foreign companies, say like Apple, but perhaps also a major challenger to China in this regard?
Taking on China is a long journey. It cannot be done overnight. India is taking steps to create a foundation. But I don't think India should worry about China, because investors who are in China need to pull out. And they will not do it abruptly again, because it will disrupt their own business models. So it will happen gradually. We are beginning to see a trickle. We can see the tensions within China and their efforts to slow down India, which suggests that they do see India as a legitimate threat. But India needs to focus inwardly. And we need to get everything right, just like the way we are getting the logistics right. Today, train travel in India is not such a challenge. Thanks to GST, you have seamless movement of goods through the country. The logistics are no longer what it was pathetic 10 years ago. So all these things are coming together. So India should focus inwards, get its act right, because we are an economy which has long looked inward. It is time we looked outward. And for that, India needs to improve its basic infrastructure, architecture, its approach, and of course, finally, we need a mindset reset. We have to forget about the past, what everyone popularly likes to call the Hindu rate of growth. But those were times, okay, it happened, but that's history. Now, India is on a new growth trajectory. So everyone, including all of us, have to have a mindset reset, and particularly India's private sector.
Okay, India's private sector has to play a role. We have to look ahead, as you say. Thank you very much, Anil Padmanabhanji, for joining us on the India News app. All right, let's move on. In the 122nd episode of monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat on Sunday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi showed the pictures of the terror sites that were destroyed by the Indian Armed Forces in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, POK. A report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared India's unwavering commitment to eliminating terrorism and hailed the precision strikes carried out by the Indian Armed Forces against Pakistan under Operation Sindoor. He was addressing the 122nd edition of his monthly Mann Ki Baat program.
साथियों, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान हमारी सेनाओं ने जो पराक्रम दिखाया है, उसने हर हिंदुस्तानी का सिर ऊंचा कर दिया है। जिस प्रिसीजन के साथ, जिस सटीकता के साथ हमारी सेनाओं ने सीमा पार के आतंकवादी ठिकानों को ध्वस्त किया, वो अद्भुत है। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने दुनिया भर में आतंक के खिलाफ लड़ाई को नया विश्वास और उत्साह दिया है।
As India is nearing to achieve its goal to eliminate left-wing extremism till March 2026 from the country, Prime Minister said that the situation in Maoist violence-affected areas is fast becoming normal and the children in these areas are excelling in both education and sports.
यहाँ के बच्चों में साइंस का पैशन है, वो स्पोर्ट्स में भी कमाल कर रहे हैं। ऐसे प्रयासों से पता चलता है कि इन इलाकों में रहने वाले लोग कितने साहसी होते हैं। इन लोगों ने तमाम चुनौतियों के बीच अपने जीवन को बेहतर बनाने की राह चुनी है।
Prime Minister Modi noted that the global enthusiasm for the International Yoga Day continues to grow, reflecting a widespread commitment to integrating yoga into daily life.
मुझे जानकर अच्छा लगा कि इस बार भी हमारे युवा साथी देश की विरासत से जुड़ी आइकॉनिक प्लेसेस पर योग करने वाले हैं। कई युवाओं ने नए रिकॉर्ड बनाने और योग चेन का हिस्सा बनने का संकल्प लिया है। हमारे कॉर्पोरेट्स भी इसमें पीछे नहीं है। कुछ संस्थानों ने ऑफिस में ही योग अभ्यास के लिए अलग स्थान तय कर दिया है। कुछ स्टार्टअप्स ने अपने ऑफिस योग अवर्स तय कर दिए हैं।
Prime Minister also highlighted that Ayurveda is gaining global recognition for its holistic approach to health and well-being.
WHO के डायरेक्टर जनरल और मेरे मित्र तुलसी भाई की मौजूदगी में एक MOU साइन किया गया है। इस एग्रीमेंट के साथ ही इंटरनेशनल क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ हेल्थ इंटरवेंशंस के तहत एक डेडिकेटेड ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन मॉड्यूल पर काम शुरू हो गया है।
Referring to the crafted fibers of Sikkim, PM Modi said that the handcrafted textiles of the state represent a harmonious blend of tradition, weaving artistry, and contemporary fashion.
क्राफ्टेड फाइबर्स ये सिर्फ एक ब्रांड नहीं, सिक्किम की परंपरा, बुनाई की कला और आज के फैशन की सोच, तीनों का सुंदर संगम है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasized that when tradition is infused with passion, it forges a distinctive global identity. He believes that reviving and integrating traditional practices with modern enthusiasm not only preserves cultural heritage, but also propels it onto the world stage, showcasing India's rich legacy to a global audience.
And in more news from India, the portals of Hemkund Sahib, the world's highest Gurudwara at 15,000 feet in Uttarakhand's Chamoli district, reopened on Sunday. The shrine is visited by lakhs of devotees every summer. As in the year 2024, about 2 lakh devotees visited the Hemkund Sahib Gurudwara in Uttarakhand. And still to come on DD India Newshour. Don't fear challenges, says Iranian filmmaker Jafar Panahi as Cannes winners celebrate their awards. India's archer Prathmesh Fuge clinches gold medal at Veronica's Cup in Kamnik town of Slovenia. And it's a double podium finish for India at the Junior Shooting World Cup in Suhi city of Germany.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour and I am Tanvi Taneja. The NDA Chief Ministers Conclave, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, was held in New Delhi on Sunday. Several party dignitaries, including NDA Chief Ministers and Deputy Chief Ministers, were present. During the conclave, Prime Minister Modi emphasized the need to add momentum to the development trajectories and ensure the benefits of a double-engine government reach the people in an effective manner. In the meeting, a motion of thanks was passed, praising the valor of the army and the leadership of Prime Minister Modi in Operation Sindoor. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Gujarat on 26th and 27th of May. On the first leg, he will travel to Dahod. He will dedicate to the nation a locomotive manufacturing plant and also flag off an electric locomotive. Prime Minister Modi will lay the foundation stone and inaugurate multiple development projects worth around 24,000 crore rupees in Dahod. He will also address a public function there. Later in the day, Prime Minister Modi will travel to Bhuj and will lay the foundation stone and inaugurate multiple development projects worth over 53,400 crore rupees. He will also address a public function there. Further, Prime Minister of India will travel to Gandhinagar and on 27th of May, he will participate in the celebrations of 20 years of Gujarat urban growth story and launch Urban Development Year 2025. He will also address a gathering on the occasion. Meanwhile, India's Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav arrived at Dahod on Sunday. He first landed in Vadodara and then took a train to Dahod, where he was warmly welcomed by MPs and local MLAs. The minister toured the railway engine factory and reviewed preparations for Prime Minister's visit. He said the factory will generate large-scale employment, especially benefiting the local population. Curtains have been drawn on Cannes. The 78th edition of France's prestigious Cannes Film Festival brought together stars and legends of world cinema to celebrate the best in independent and international films, from major awards to special honors and unforgettable screenings. This year's festival lived up to its reputation. DD India's Diptanshu Kashyap brings us more.
Iranian filmmaker Jafar Panahi won the Palme d'Or at the 78th Cannes Film Festival for It Was Just an Accident, a bold political thriller. Iraq's The President's Cake won the Camera d'Or for Best Debut. Brazil's Wagner Moura was named Best Actor, while French newcomer Nadia Miletti took Best Actress for The Little Sister. Norway's Joachim Trier earned the Grand Prix for Sentimental Value. The winners were selected by a jury led by Juliette Binoche, with members including Halle Berry, Payal Kapadia and Carlos Regadas. The main competition featured 21 films, including Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme and Julia Ducournau's Alpha. In the uncertain raga section, Chilean director Diego Cespedes won the top prize for the mysterious gaze of the flamingo, while India's Homebound by Neeraj Kevan was also showcased. Chechnya's first Cannes entry, Imago, won Best Documentary, and The $6 Billion Man about Julian Assange picked up a special jury prize. A sheepdog from Iceland's The Love That Remains won the Palm Dog for the Best Canine Performance. Restored classics like Aranya Din Ratri, The Gold Rush, and Barry Lyndon were featured in Cannes Classics. Robert De Niro and Denzel Washington received honorary Palme d'Ors, with De Niro honored on opening night. Final Reckoning, the latest Mission Impossible film, was screened out of competition. Despite a citywide power outage, political conversations about Ukraine, Gaza, and Donald Trump, the festival closed with its signature glamour as stars of the silver screen walked the iconic red carpet. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
In a charming town in the south of France, DD India's team stepped into a unique way of life, living on a boat. From savouring local cuisine to hearing the heartfelt stories of those who call water their home. This journey offered a glimpse into a lifestyle rooted in simplicity and connection. Here's what happened when a young couple welcomed DD India's Jaya Sinha and her team aboard and shared not just their boat, but their hearts as well.
We are at Antib. It's a small town near to Cannes, and we have come here to look at these beautiful boats. It is the harbour city, it's the port. It's one of the largest ports of South France, and we can see a lot of boats have been lined up here. They are getting ready for the tourist season because summer is there, the festival is there. A lot of people are coming to see France and to see Cannes and the neighbouring cities, and here we see a lot of boats are parked. These are the boats where people actually live in, and sometimes they go inside the sea and enjoy the boat life. So here we are meeting a family who likes to live on the boat, and we see how they live on the boat, and they have really prepared something really special for us. So let's check out what's the surprise for us. So here we're trying to tell you how a boat life is there in this Antib, and I'm joined by my guests. This is Sami, this is Emma, and they have got an amazing European spread for us on this little boat. They are calling it little. I don't find it little. It's such a huge, big boat. Right now it's parked here, and I've been told there are a lot of CEOs and rich people that are also partying down there. We have Bill Gates' boat parked right there because it's one of the largest harbours of South France. So what we have in this elaborate spread, can you just tell us, Sami? Emma, can you just help us?
Well,
it's
we have
European
a little bit of Spanish with the pan con tomate, some French with the tapenade d'olive and the cheese, of course, and then a little bit of Greek with our tzatziki, and then some hummus, of course, and just some lovely vegetables and fruit spread out.
Okay, Sami, for how long you've been staying on this boat and you're trying to helping out with this boat life? You really love the boat life?
It's been 2 years now, 1 year and a half, 2 years, and yeah, we enjoy the life on boat. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't go on the land. Life on boat means, Emma, what exactly it means? You sleep in the boat, you cook, you eat everything?
We do everything on the boat. We live on board, we sleep on board, we feel it move. It helps us sleep at night, and it's a completely different lifestyle. The people are very different from what they are at land these days.
So you really planned to have a life like this, or you just one day decided that let me go and have a life on board?
I always loved the sea, but it's truly when I met Sami and we both are captains on boats that we were like, okay, this is our life, this is meant for us.
And recently Sami have also started inviting people to come and experience the boat life. How is that going, and what kind of response you're getting? It's a tourist season right now in France.
Exactly, it's tourist season from May to September, around this, and yeah, it's where we work a lot at this time.
All right, time now for some sporting action. India's archer Prathamesh Fuge rallied from behind to win a gold medal in the men's compound individual event at Veronica's Cup in Kamnik town of Slovenia on Sunday. Fuge defeated defending champion Shamar Yamrom of Israel in a shootout. After both finished on equal points in the summit clash, it boiled down to the tiebreaker where Yamrom and Fuge shot a 10 each. The Indian archer took the gold medal as his arrow was closer to the center. The Veronica's Cup is one of the key European events and has been held since 2016. India bagged a silver and a bronze in the 10-meter air rifle mixed team event at the ISSF Junior World Cup in Suhi of Germany on Sunday. Naren Pranav and K. Chaudhary won silver, while Himanshu and Shambhavi clinched bronze as India's medal tally reached double figures. Huang Yuting and Huang Lilwin of China won gold in the event. This is India's second double podium finish in the tournament in 2 days. On Saturday, Shambhavi Shirsagar claimed gold, while Ojasvi Thakur bagged silver in the women's 10-meter air rifle event. Indian shooters have clinched 2 gold, 4 silver and 4 bronze so far. And the youngest world chess champion D. Gukesh will face world number 1 Magnus Carlsen in the classical format at the Norway Chess beginning on Monday in Stavanger City. The last time Gukesh participated in Norway Chess was in 2023, where he finished 3rd. India's Arjun Ergyasi will also feature in the tournament, which will have one of the strongest lineup in women's category. Koneru Hampi, Vaishali R and others will fight for top honours. The 12-day tournament concludes on June the 6th. And that's all for this edition of DD India Newshour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. So we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.